Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. Today is not a video about reflective LCDs, it's not a video about e-ink tablets or anything like that. This is not even a review of any sort. This is just a video that I wanted to do because I couldn't find information online anywhere that I needed, right, for my use case scenario. So I wanted to make something that might help others that might find themselves in a similar situation. So we're talking about the guitar effect processor, amp and cab simulator, the Headrush MX5. Now, this is like a one-stop shop, and I've recently gotten it to try it out and see how does it compare with my current setup. And my current setup is a bunch of pedals. So, for example, Boss OD3, DS1, things like that, and all actually going into the Walrus ACS1, the amp and cabinet simulator from Walrus, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really happy with that setup, but it does have some limitations. For example, multiple cables increase the hum and the noise signal-to-noise ratio. The Walrus does not have a balanced output. This has a balanced output. And generally speaking, this offers a lot of power and a lot of flexibility if it can actually give me the most important thing, which is the sound, the quality of sound that I already have with the Walrus. So the Walrus ASC or ACS, I forget now which one it is, one of those, I'm just gonna call it the Walrus. So the Walrus sound is awesome and I really, really do like it. It's an amazing pedal and it just works really nicely. So I did not want to be robbed from that sound and from that quality. So my main question when I got this was, can I reproduce the sound that I already have and that I like and that I want using this one? So let's check that out. All right, and here is my setup. The setup is actually very simple. I'm just using the AB here, and the output, the input of the clip that I'm going to be playing is going into it, and from it, via this cable, I'm going into the Walrus ASC, and the B is going to be into the Headrush MX5. Now I'm going to be matching only one of the models here because that's what I was interested in, because when I got the Headrush I was thinking, hey, how they compare first of all, and if they do, then should I sell my Walrus ASC because I don't want them doubling up. Plus this is far more convenient if it can match the sound, because I do like the sound of the Walrus. So I'm going to be focusing on the Fender tone. It's called Fuller tone on the Walrus ACS1, and here is the setup on MX5. So first of all, on the Walrus ACS1, everything is at 12, right? So I have the Fullerton head picked out, and the EQ is at 12, the volume is at 12, the gain is at 12, and room is also 12. All of it is on 12. On the MX5, in order to match it, the head that I'm using is the +65 Black Mini, and it's set to 50-50, so all noon, except that the volume is backed out to 35% so that you can get a similar type of breaking up with the gain of volume. That I found that it actually matches it kind of okay. When it was on 50, it was too much gain compared to the ASC1. As for the cabinet, this is the important part, I have the same exact cabinet picked out for both of them. So because both support custom IRs, I uploaded the same Celestion Creamback Impossible 8 mic IR onto both the ASC1 and the Headrush MX5, and both of them are using the exact same cabinet. Now the rest of the chain on the MX5, I needed to add a mild compression. Well, not so mild actually, it's not really that mild, 10-to-1, and because ASC1 has a compression that is kind of linked to the volume, and more volume you actually use, more compressed it gets, So it tries to kind of match that to get the peaks and the dynamics behaving that way. And these are the kind of settings that I got. So threshold at -24, ratio 10:1, 1.73 attack, 141 release, and gain of 1 with the knee fairly aggressive 21. And then I needed to match the room of the ASC1, and that's just a very simple small room with a 70% decay, tone 65, mix at 40%, and 30 millisecond pre-delay. And I'm going to be switching here so that you can see how the same loop sounds. A is ASC1, B is going to be the MX5, right? So red for Walrus, orange for MX5. So let's go. Okay, so you can actually hear that right out of the gate they sound really similar. Now, they are not identical because those of you who are, well, first of all, you gotta listen to this through headphones or a really good pair of speakers, but you will see that there's a difference in the mid, how the mids are actually shaped, and that's where you can start playing with the parametric EQ. But I wasn't originally intending to make a video about this, but I thought that it would be interesting because there's not too many videos out there. There's only like Endertons that I've seen that they're comparing it to Strymon amp simulator pedal thing, and that one was also, they didn't try to match it, they were just seeing how it compares, which is also fair. But I wanted to see for my own personal use, can I match them? And for me, the answer is absolutely yes, because then you can also add a parametric EQ into the play, and then you can play around with it and see how you can match it even more, or maybe shape it a little bit differently how you might want to have it. So with the parametric EQ, you can see that you can shape the sound even further to kind of match the curves and the mids, and everything here is a little bit closer, not exactly the same, but again, a bit more of a mid character there. So you can see when I actually enabled the parametric EQ, I got that mid-highs, I got them to match a little bit better. So the only other thing that would be left here to kind of match, if I really wanted to, was, and those mid-highs are at around 60 hertz, 600 hertz. And mid-lows, I would need to also match if I wanted to be exactly perfect, which I think is around 350 or 400 hertz. So you would need to go in there and kind of add a little bit more and then try to match it further. But you know, that's at some point you gotta say like, okay, why? Like, am I making a scientific project out of this, or do I just want to get it to sound pretty good? And the answer to me was, when I got that other sound with the parametric EQ here, that it actually sounds very close, and I was able to get that part of it to match, then it was very clear to me, like, yeah, I can match the other one as well without any problems. So I kind of stopped, and at that point I decided, like, okay, hey, maybe I should make a little video here to kind of share this so that you guys know what to expect if somebody's thinking about, if you have your Walrus ACS1 and then you're thinking about, hey, what about this one? Could it do it? And the answer is absolutely, yeah. You just need to add the compressor, you need to add the room if you want it so that you can match it. And yeah, adjust your EQ in a way that you want, and that's great. Now, the second part, so this was the most important one for me, because if I can't get the core sound to match what I'm used to and what I like from the Walrus, then this one would have to go back, and if it wasn't of the same quality. But this one is most definitely of the same quality, so I think it's most likely going to be a keeper. So the next thing that I wanted to try out is how are the pedal simulations or stomp box simulations in the MX5, and how do they compare to the real deals? And MX5 has, I use the DS3, so MX5 has the Boss DS1 Overdrive, OD1, sorry. OD1 simulation is on MX5, and I have the OD3 pedal. So they're not exactly the same, but I wanted to see how do they compare. Because the next question then would be, if I'm keeping this one, do I need to keep my pedals that I have in here? For example, direct comparison OD3, which is one of my absolute favorite overdrives because it just has really, really good character, and DS1, the classic distortion, right? So again, I wasn't expecting the same type of characteristics and sound because this is OD1, right? So let's go switch here. Let's listen to it. So this is going to be through the OD3 and the same thing. So let's go. And then when I switch over here, then it's going to be through the OD1 on the MX5. And I think that most of you will agree, if you're using good headphones or speakers to listen to this, that for me at least, the answer is definitely not. I think it's not just the matter of a character, but there is a fullness and there's a transparency and there is a definitive, huge difference between the real deal, the stomp box, and this simulation. The simulation is just far more narrow and it's flatter and it doesn't have that when you hear it. So here's the real deal. And now switch this. It's getting a little bit, right? It's getting a little bit of it, but the whole characteristics is completely different. I mean, it's close, but I think that I would need to add an EQ, a different type of an EQ, to try and shape it to get a little bit of fullness. But there's also a fizziness here that I'm not terribly a fan of. Maybe that fizziness goes away if you shape it with an EQ. I don't know, but for that I'm gonna have to kind of try and match it and see what's what. One of the things that I've tried out, and one of the things that you can also do on the MX5, and it's a neat little trick. You could actually use a different type of a setup here so that you can actually branch out into two different ones. So I would use an amp that has a branch into a drive, into its simulated drive, and then into an amp, and then it would branch out into the same amp but without the drive, so that I get the clean. And then I mix them all back up into the same speaker cabinet, and the mix then will allow me to add a tiny bit of the clean signal before it goes into the drive. And that is a nice trick to actually add a little bit of transparency. Now, if somebody's interested in actually checking that out and me making a video about that, I can do that, and I think that that's going to be a separate video, because for now I'm definitely keeping the OD1 as a stomp box, and I'm going to be running some other comparisons at a later date. But yeah, shoot down in the comments below if you're interested to see that other setup with the transparency setup, so-called. So that's something that you can definitely try out as well. And initial testing showed that that can give me the stuff that I'm missing from the initial simulation here. So here's another, just a final comparison. Yeah, so definitely you can get somewhere just with small EQ tweaks, and maybe if you add that transparency, then I'm pretty sure that you can get very close to the real deal. So now let's switch over to the DS1 and see how that is. So that would be DS1, and without the EQ, and everything is on. So let's first listen through the ASC through the DS1 stomp box. Okay, so the situation with the DS1 matched to the DS1 model here in the MX5, it's a much closer situation here, and they are set up fairly similarly, or maybe even identical. No, the volume had to be actually turned down on the DS1 as compared to this one, but they are really similar. I mean, similar enough that I need to kind of really scratch my head and think, do I actually need my DS stomp box? So the other thing, if it was just on its own, not so much. But how does it behave when we actually combine both together? So let's do that. So the noisy one, of course, is here, and here we also get some noise, but a little bit less, because MX5 has, not the gate, I don't like the gate, but it does have a noise filter for the stuff underneath the gate, and that kind of helps, as you can hear. Yeah. All right, so let's listen through both of them and see how that is. This is so cool. Okay, so absolutely a different type of a character altogether. And it's, let me just turn this off so it's not sizzly. Very, very, very different character altogether on both of them. The one thing that I really like when using the real stomp boxes is the transparency that you actually get. Even when you stack the pedals, you still get that kind of chaka transparent type of a feel, whereas where you go on to the MX5, it's I like the sound. It's getting into that kind of crazy fuzz territory, going like all over the place, but it's most definitely not the same thing that you get with the stomp boxes. So for me, I think that what I managed to conclude from doing this test is that the answer to my main question, can the amp simulation and the cab simulation, can I achieve the same tone or same enough of a tone with the Headrush MX5 as I can get it on the Walrus ACS1? And the answer is most definitely yes. So that means that this one can replace my Walrus ACS1 flat out without any problems. So answer number one. Answer number two was, can it replace my pedals? I'm really not sure on that yet. I wouldn't feel good and I wouldn't feel comfortable enough giving up the pedals yet. And you know, honestly, I'm fine with that because you have the insert and return on the MX5 anyway, so I can just easily plug in my pedals into here, use them as an FX loop, and I can still get the exact same tone and the flexibility and the comfort of the MX5. So nifty, nifty little awesome thing the Headrush MX5 really, really is. All right, so this is most definitely a keeper, and I believe that it is going to make me sell my Walrus and kind of slim down the setup and centralize it around this one. Is it gonna make me sell my OD3? Nope, not at all. And yes, I know before everybody goes kind of bananas, you can't compare OD1 to OD3. I know, even if I had an OD1 pedal and an OD3 pedal, they would sound vastly different. Probably a lot like what you've heard here. But I wanted to compare this because not many people have an OD1 pedal, but a lot of people do have an OD3 pedal, and maybe there's another person out there who's thinking, hey, can I actually replace the OD1? Can the OD1 model in the Headrush, can it replace my OD3? My answer to that is no, because an OD1 pedal would not replace my OD3 pedal. So that's the same thing. Now with the DS1, the similarities are far, far closer. So I'm going to have to test that out a little bit more, but it could happen that I don't need the DS1 physical pedal anymore because the pedal model in this one is really, really, really good on the first tests and first goes. So there you go. I hope that some of you found this information in the video useful so that you can actually know what you can do and how to compare. Maybe you've picked up a couple of tips and tricks on how to create patches and how to set things up and what to do with the Headrush MX5, which then would be great. If you did, I'm happy. And then please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because even though I am mostly e-ink oriented type of a tech channel, I do intend from time to time to do more music-based stuff, such as guitar reviews and music gear reviews and things of that nature. Also, shoot down in the comments below what you might be interested in. So for example, would you be interested in a tutorial and an example of how the parallel line for the clarity type of a sound character, what you would set it up, how you would set it up on the MX5 and what type of sound you would get and things like that, because I am intending to spend a lot of time with this gorgeous thing. And yeah, if somebody finds these things useful, I'm more than happy to share them with you on this platform. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.